Good afternoon. Jatinder Lal here, Policy Associate at the SRA, working in the Regulation and Education team. We thought that with the current climate, in terms of us not being able to come out and see you and speak to you in person, that we'd give you a quick update on where we are since the 25th of November. Someone interestingly told me the other day that on the 4th of March that it'd been 100 days since we'd launched the new standards and regulations. So let's see where we are in terms of how you're doing, but also what we've heard and what we've been doing as well to make sure that you're fully supported, whether you're a sole practitioner to a partner in one of the big city firms. So off I go. So standards and regulations, as you know, they came in on the 25th of November. They include a whole suite of, should we say, our regulatory arrangements, starting off with the SRA principles. As you know from the messages that we've delivered, that these are 7 principles that apply to you as an individual solicitor, to you as a firm, but also your employees as well. So if you are an authorised firm, they apply to your employees. Been a focus where we've moved away from having 2 separate principles around dishonesty and integrity, and as you know, we've got 2 separate principles. So again, focusing on the integrity of individuals and businesses that we regulate to make sure that they do have a proper regard for our rules and regulations, but also making sure that they have a regard to the other principles as well, which are really quite important. So looking at acting in the client's best interests. We've also got 2 codes of conduct, as you know, one for authorised firms. This sets out, should we say, what we expect of you as businesses in terms of systems and controls, making sure you've got the right people doing the right job. More importantly, and this is where we have seen a shift in how we do regulate individuals, is the code of conduct for individual solicitors. This applies to you as a solicitor regardless of where you work, what title you've been given. More importantly, it applies to all individual solicitors that are thinking or are now working as freelancers as well, or solicitors practicing on their own or even in unregulated businesses. It's about their conduct. It's making sure that they're responsible for their actions and the decisions that they take, and how it then impacts on whether it's the business that they work for or more importantly, the clients that they're engaging with. We've got the authorisation rules, and again, it's looking at where we are in terms of making it easier for you to engage with us, whether it's about changing ownership in firm or whether it's about you setting up a new firm as well. It should be really important that when you come to us that you are able to engage with us in a really quick and easy fashion. When I mean quick, it means that what we get from you needs to be of good quality as well, so that we can make decisions very quickly so that you are up and running without any unnecessary delay. In terms of the authorisation rules, I think one thing that's also important is just to highlight the rules around transparency. So this was something that came in the year before the standards and regulations and include the clickable logo for firms as well. What have we been doing? What have we been seeing? Well, we've seen some really good examples of how firms are complying with presenting information about prices for the services that they offer, but also using the clickable logo in a compliant way. So that's making sure that it's displayed in a prominent place, but also that it is actually linked through to our verified portal. On price transparency, we're seeing some firms, like I said, that are doing a really good job in terms of compliance and making sure that the information is out there for potential customers that are looking to engage with the firm. There are some firms that are not actually doing what we've asked them to do, and we are engaging with those firms now to make sure that they take steps to put themselves into a space that we're happy with. So in terms of making sure that information is published and it does cover what we expect it to cover. In terms of just preparing for the 25th of November, it was not just you as firms having to prepare and think about what you might need to do, but we also had to do a lot of work internally as well. So it was making sure that all our staff were up to date in terms of knowledge, so training, making sure they had adequate resources. More importantly, we wanted to make sure that there was consistency in what we expected of firms and how we then responded to whether it was reports coming in or just queries to our professional ethics team. So in terms of developing a suite of guidance, we don't have 2 sets of guidance. We've got the same set of guidance that's applied both internally and externally, and I think that's a really, really important change in terms of how we engage with you as practitioners or as firms, because it's important that we're all singing off the same page. But also it's looking at in terms of how we've engaged, in terms of how we respond to reports from you, whether it's a self-report about something that's gone wrong in the firm or reports from other people that might be involved with you in a transaction. And I think this is where we've seen that slight change in how we're now focusing on what's important to us. How does the enforcement strategy actually work in practice? So it's engaging with you if we can see that things can be resolved very quickly. And then where we are seeing a complete disregard for our rules, or there is something that can't be resolved, it's looking at then moving that into the investigation stage with a potential outcome in terms of regulatory action. But that should be far and few, because there should be more, should we say, more of a focus on engaging with you with that approach to early resolution, and making it so that you can carry on working on a transaction, also maintaining that good relationship with people on the other side. And like I said, we've had to review the guidance very extensively, so that then feeds into the review of our website. The website at the moment is going through a transition as well. It's hosting some of the information that it used to have, which was old material, and we're now looking at making sure that the information that we hold is not just updated to reflect the new standards and regulations, the majority of which has been completed, but the information is available to you in an easily accessible format, so you shouldn't have to trawl through loads of different pages to get your answer. So there's a lot of work that's been done behind the scenes to make sure that it's not just a modern, fresh looking website, but one that it's user friendly, again, from the solicitor working as a freelancer or a recognised sole practitioner to solicitors that are working in the city firms. It should be an easy, accessible resource for you. But not just that, it's not just members of the profession that are using the website. We have to appreciate that the website will also be used by consumers, members of the public. And again, it's making sure that the information that is on the website is available in a clear, accessible manner. And the language that we use is easy to understand. So since the 25th of November, we think that things have probably gone fairly well. A lot of firms have probably taken the opportunity to look at how they're doing business, their own systems and controls, and also giving updates to members of staff within the organisation. There have been a few changes, like I said, in terms of the application of certain rules, and it's important that every person in the organisation, so every person in your firm, understands what's going on. When it's you as a sole practitioner, however, it is you, and it might be with the support of your practice manager or someone else that you just need to look at how effective your systems and controls are. But we've seen overall that people have embraced change. Change is always good because it's better than, should we say, taking a rest and becoming complacent with what's already there or how you know you should be doing things. It's about making sure that you take stock of what's working well, but also taking the opportunity to rectify or implement new processes and procedures wherever you can. In terms of where we're moving forward now, we're looking at where we might need to issue guidance. So we've heard in some instances that we need to provide a bit more guidance. So one example is our rules around publicity and making sure that, what do we mean by unsolicited approaches or direct marketing? What we don't want to see is people fall foul of our rules or think that they have fallen foul of our rules without considering the whole context in terms of how solicitors should be marketing their business and the services that they offer. So we are looking to develop some guidance to help you and make sure that it's also compliant with advice that might have been given by, for instance, the Information Commissioner's Office as well. Moving on from that, you will have also seen that we've launched the Solicitors Register. This is again a product that we wanted to launch and forms part of the standards and regulations because it gives members of the public, but also you, information about how solicitors are practicing, where they're working, but also links through to their disciplinary record as well. So if there are concerns about an individual, you can check whether or not there have been previous decisions that have been made against that firm or even the business as well. That is again something that will carry on developing, carry on evolving. As we see more use of it, we'll hear more feedback in terms of how good it is, but also where some improvements can be made. So we'll also continue to improve the operation of the Solicitors Register. In terms of us as a business, we consulted on our corporate strategy and we focused on three, should we say, corporate objectives. One was that we needed to make sure that we have high standards for ourselves, but also the profession. Secondly, we wanted to focus on technology and innovation. Technology has become really vital in terms of how we not just deliver services, but also how we as businesses, so you as a business, you as a law firm, might be engaging others to provide services to you. Technology has become an important part in how we deliver and how we engage with people as well. One thing that we do have to remember though is that technology might only work in certain circumstances. There might be individuals out there that don't have access to things like broadband, they might not have access to smartphones, or they might just not understand how to engage with digital platforms. So it's important that not just we as a regulator, but you as law firms as well, think about, okay, that you need to cater for your clientele in a way that you can attract people from different backgrounds, but also those that have different needs as well. And I think for us, it's anticipating and responding to change. We're seeing a changing legal landscape. There's loads of things that are happening in the market that have got nothing to do with the SRA. For instance, if you're involved in personal injury and road traffic accidents, we know that there's a change coming about through the Civil Liability Act. And what that means for you as a firm will be important so that you can make changes wherever you need to. And we will look at whether we need to make any changes to our regulations as well. But also we're seeing changes in terms of high risk areas. So for instance, we're working on updating whether it's guidance or warning notice as well. So for instance, we're looking at our warning notice on investment schemes. We've seen some recent decisions at the Solicitors Disciplinary Tribunal, which means that we really need to look at the language of our warning notice, but also provide some clarity by what we mean, where we think that something is not should we say, a genuine investment scheme. Another focus of mine, if you've been following me on LinkedIn or seen me present, is the accounts rules. Being the policy lead for the accounts rules, it's really quite close to me, so it's important that we share with you some key messages. One thing to stress on the accounts rule is that it wasn't just a one-phased approach. The recent changes that we made that were implemented on the 25th of November were part of a three-phased approach. The changes had already been made to the accounts rules back in 2014, then in 2015, and more recently as part of the standards and regulations. It's important to realise as well that the obligation to safeguard money, I've heard on numerous occasions where firms have said to me, oh, the accounts rules don't say, Jatinder, anywhere that we need to keep client money safe. That's because it's a conduct obligation. It's a standard that we expect of you. If you are permitted to hold client money, then the obligation is on you as that individual or the authorised firm to make sure that you safeguard money that's been entrusted to you. Since implementation, a lot of firms are thinking about reviewing their systems and controls, and like I said, it's not just on the accounts rules, or it's not just on the accounts rules, it's their whole business. They've taken the opportunity to make sure that their systems and controls are effective, and making sure that the people that are doing the work on a day-to-day basis remain competent in terms of how they're working and their delivery of services. But it's really important to make sure that as a business that everybody does everything they can to make sure there is that evaluation, to make sure that the systems and processes are working, and then making sure that changes can be made as well should something not be working. Also, you've had some feedback to say, yeah, this doesn't look right, or this doesn't work for us as an individual client or a group of clients, and therefore a firm needs to adopt change. A lot of firms, in terms of the accounts rules, also looking at how they might use a third-party managed account, TPMA for short. Some firms have done a complete switch, so that's been quite interesting, I'd say, in terms of how firms have stopped operating a client account altogether and have now moved to a TPMA as a complete alternative solution. Other businesses are looking at TPMAs in different ways, so they're thinking, okay, we can still use a client account as we do now, but for certain transactions we might now use a TPMA, so that might be for high value or high volume transactions, or where they know that the client wants to have that element of control in terms of how their money is being used. We have also heard on the accounts rules that some firms are finding it difficult to comply with Rule 10 as is drafted, so that's where law firms are operating a client's own account. We did issue a, should we say, holding position, some guidance in terms of if you couldn't comply, this is what we expect of you as a minimum. That's an area of review now. We are continuing to work on this, and we're going to be working with key stakeholders, whether it be reporting accountants or even firms that are engaging or have been engaged, should we say, as deputies for clients, and they are operating the client's own account. We've also seen some confusion around what we mean in terms of the Rule 4.3 and the expectations of you to deliver a bill or other written notification of costs that have been incurred when you're looking to transfer money from the client account for your costs. It's not about, should we say, putting in place regulatory burdens which mean that you can't comply. It's about making sure that clients are given the utmost information about how their money is being used. It's important that there is transparency for clients, not just at the outset, but through the course of the retainer, about how their money is being used, whether it is in relation to progress a transaction, but also where you are taking your own costs as a business. So we are looking to develop some guidance there as well, again, just to help some firms that might find it confusion, but also to make sure that firms follow our guidance and not other commentary that's been issued. So in all, it's been a, should we say, a rather smooth transition from what was the SRA Handbook 2011 to the SRA Standards and Regulations. A lot of firms have actually, like I said, taken the opportunity to embrace change and use things like innovation and technology to start developing models that are fit for the current climate that we're working in, but also will be future-proof for years to come. And I think some firms that are finding it difficult, this is where our professional ethics team have really helped a lot of firms and individuals to think about what they need to do and where they might need to make changes. And in some cases, make no changes at all. So some people have just sought clarification about what they've been doing, that is it compliant going forward. And I think lastly, in terms of the change in approach to allowing solicitors to work as freelancers, this is going to be an organic change. You know, we're not expecting every single person that's out there to start thinking about moving into the freelancer space. It will take time, and people will make decisions during the course of their career, whether it be at the beginning, halfway through, or as they approach retirement or thinking about, you know, hanging their boots up as a senior partner in a firm, that, you know, they'll think about the opportunities that the freelancer model brings, or even just practicing on their own, delivering unreserved legal services. In terms of the insurance requirement for solicitors that are working on their own doing reserved work, again, it will be an organic change where insurers will see what businesses want to do, what solicitors want to practice in, and the services that they want to offer, that they can then think about responding to that change. So just as we've seen, like when we became the licensing authority for alternative business structures, we didn't see all firms move to that model straight away. There's the organic change and people looking for opportunity. And it's the same with the opportunity that the 25th of November brings, or brought, that people will start slowly thinking about the opportunity that it brings for them. If you are unsure, remember to speak to us. Get in touch with our professional ethics team. They can guide you through case-by-case scenarios. Or if it's you want us to come out and talk to you, whether it's a group of people or part of a wider organisation, get in touch with our external affairs team to book something in so that we can actually come out and talk to you. Present circumstances mean that we can't get out to you, but videos like this are here to give you some key messages, but also to make sure that we're constantly in touch with you. So wishing you a good day, stay safe, and look forward to speaking to you and at least seeing you in the near future. Thank you.